Today you will start reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This is a novel that was written and published in 1960. However, you will be reading the screenplay. The reason you're reading the screenplay is because we are more interested in reading nonfiction articles and comparing them to the book than the novel as a whole. So we'll just be reading the screenplay so you still get the themes, the ideas, the characters, and are able to apply our nonfiction articles to that. You should have watched this e-notes introduction. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of a taste of what the book is about, but I'm going to go a little more in depth with the characters and the setting. The author of the novel was born in a little town in Monroeville, Alabama in 1926. So she herself grew up in the time that this book is set. Her father is a lawyer, which you'll see some similarities in the book. She was a really renowned and recognized author. She won a Pulitzer Prize, which was one of the highest book awards in 1961 for this book. But she only published essays and stories after To Kill a Mockingbird. She didn't write another book until July 2015. She published a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird. She'd actually written Ghost at a Watchman first, but the publishers didn't really like it at the time, so she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird instead, and that got published. But in 2015, her old manuscript was found, and they decided to publish it. And then shortly after, she died in February 2016. So To Kill a Mockingbird is set in a small town called Macomb, Alabama. So this is a fictional town. It's not a real town, but it is based off of the town that our author grew up in, Monroeville. The book is set in the 1930s, so during the Great Depression. This would have been the time that our author grew up as a child, so she knows this time well, and it's what inspired her to write this book. The novel is also set during a time of complete segregation, so that means that blacks and whites where, everything was separate, water fountains, churches, schools. There's a lot of racism, a lot of separation that was present. And we're only about 65 to 70 years post-slavery at this point as well. So we'll see that dynamic and how a lot of people are still struggling. Like I mentioned, the book is inspired by true events. So Harper Lee, she grew up in a little town in Alabama, and that's what this town is based off of. She also wrote the main criminal trial that takes place in the book based off of a real-life case called the Scottsboro Boy case, which is what we will explore before we get to that point in the book. Now, the main character, Scout, in the book is also based off Harper Lee herself, not in the fact that they were, necessarily the same in like their parents and everything, but in terms of perspective. Harper Lee as a child had a lot of the same questions and beliefs that Scout had. She didn't understand why adults acted the way they did, treated people the way they did, and and that's what inspired her to write this book through Scout's eyes. She wanted to write it through the eyes of herself as a child.